Good morning. This is Dan again, and it's about 8 months later from when I put the original Hammarlund video up. It's November, almost the end of November 2011, and I've realized recently that I have quite a few comments on my video from 8 months ago about the Hammarlund. So I thought I'd come on and just do kind of a question and answer thing here, and a brief history, or hopefully brief, about how I came to own this radio. It's about 2 years ago. I found it at a garage sale in Jacksonville. Literally a garage sale for a inherited garage. These people had inherited and it was just stuff full of stuff. And when I got there, they were just digging this radio out. It had been buried under lots of stuff. It had been very well packed, dust-free, cobweb-free. They had no idea what it was. I looked at it, and I didn't know what it was, but looking at the dial, I realized it was a shortwave radio. And but I didn't know what the heck it was. I saw the send and receive, and I thought it was a transceiver. And my history with shortwave goes back to when I was a little boy growing up in Jacksonville, and my dad had a shortwave type radio, a little solid state, actually about half this size. Don't have any idea what it was, but I used to love to tune that thing in and hear these stations from all over the place and languages, and that's when I first heard WWV and WWVH, the time and frequency station. Didn't have any idea what it was, but I just loved listening to that stuff. And I actually inherited that radio back in the 80s when my dad died, but by that time it was just a fallen apart piece of junk. I tried to fix it, took it apart, and ended up with just a huge pile of junk that was completely unusable. So I ended up buying a couple of cheap shortwave radios in the 80s and 90s. Even bought a realistic, believe it or not. And if you want to just waste your money, go ahead and do that route, but they just don't work. Kind of given up and forgotten about shortwave until I ran across this little gem 2 years ago. They wanted $75 for it, and I asked them if we could plug it in and turn it on, and we did. And it came on for about 2 seconds and it shut off. And opened up the top and saw that there was a fuse in there, and we took it out, and the guy actually had another one to put in there, and nothing happened. It wouldn't work. So I thought, I just gotta have this thing. I just gotta buy this thing. Don't even know what it is, but I gotta have it. So I offered him $50 right there on the spot, and he took it. And after almost giving myself a hernia carrying it out to my car, got it home, and it went onto my dining room table, and there it sat for 2 weeks as I was sort of trying to fix it on my own, but I wasn't doing. All I was doing was just looking at stuff and making sure tubes were in there right, and couldn't get it going. But in the meantime, I researched it on the internet and found out what I had just bought. A Hammarlund 1948 Hammarlund HQ129X. Learned all about it, how to work the thing, how to build my own long wire antenna. So the question was, or the problem was finding somebody to repair it, because I had no idea. Found a guy on Craigslist that said he knew something about him and could at least come over and diagnose the problem, try to figure out, why it's not working, for $20. And he came over and took it apart, took the radio out of the chassis. Or is it the chassis out of the box? I don't know. One of the things. I didn't even know it came apart like that. flipped it over, and immediately, within about 30 seconds, noticed that there was I think he said it was a diode burned out on the bottom, and he showed it to me, and it looked like it had burned out. And he just happened to have the right stuff in his truck, and said he could put another one in there. He did some tests with a electronic device and said that was most likely the problem and could replace that. And I said, sure, you bet. Offered him an extra $10 to do it right there on the spot, and he did. And next thing I know, we got a running radio right there on my dining room table. Hooked up a brass or a copper 10-foot piece of wire to it, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Right there in the house with this wire just draped all over the ceiling fan there and on the table. And oh, excuse me. So I had a working radio. Cost me $80. The only problems with this radio is it's got some wear, and I'll show you that. It's on the faceplate. It's got some yeah, see on the where somebody's rubbed their fingers on it. I don't know what this is about, but it's all clean metal. Mostly the audio game has got a lot of wear. And one of the questions I got, or comments I got, was these tuning knobs. I didn't even realize it till I got that comment that, yeah, this has different tuning knobs than anything else I've seen on the internet. They don't look original, but they look like they fit. I mean, they're nice and big, and I think somebody, whoever years ago, replaced them with these bigger knobs, and it probably makes it easier to fine-tune it. They work. I mean, they're on there nice and solid. They're just fine to me, but they don't look original. In fact, I'm sure they're not. So one of the comments was antenna. What am I using? This has two leads in the back, a left and right. I originally just had the piece of wire strung up here in this room here. I'm in my den back here, and the back of the house, and I just had a piece of wire, and it worked okay. And then, you know, just looking around on the internet, I learned that I could actually tie into my big existing aluminum windowsill on the other side of this thing here. So that's what one of these wires is for. And I discovered that worked a whole lot better than the piece of wire just strung up here in the room. And then I wanted to actually build a long wire on my roof, which was pretty involved. I had to attach it up there and insulate it. I'm not sure if I really had to do that, but it was a lot of work. And it ended up being just slightly better than the windowsill. And again, more investigation led me to try one of my rain gutters. I got two rain gutters on both sides of the house. They're a good 75 foot or longer, and this one faces west, this one faces east, this one faces west. And I have them connected up on a quick release system here. This one is currently connected to the rain gutter, and this lead would be for the windowsill, which I don't use anymore. This rain gutter works good. So I get to into the rain gutter. There's a quick release for that. Both gutters are plugged in at the moment.
And I kind of experiment around, see what works better. Unfortunately, today the band is not doing very good. As I've had it on this morning, I'm at 2.5 megacycles, which should be WWV. In
Fort Collins, Colorado, and you can hear it barely. The band is just really quiet, so there's no point in even trying to show you the difference in those gutters. One gutter to the other to the windowsill. I searched around to my favorite listening area, which is between 4 and 4.5, all the way almost up to 5 megacycles. I pick up a lot of times at this time of day, 4 a.m. in the morning. It's usually when I come in here and listen and play around with this for a while. And usually hear a lot of ham operators with deep foreign accents, some languages I can't understand, but most of them sound like they're in Britain or, you know, or here in the States or Canada. And a lot of times I can only hear one part of the conversation and I can't hear who they're talking to. But I find those at 4 to 4.5 megacycles for the most part. But I was already down there today and heard nothing. I mean, just the band is really quiet today. And even when WWV isn't doing anything, because that usually booms right in here, as I'm in Oregon and WWV is in Colorado. So let's go to 5. Try that. Sure, it's no better than it was. Yeah, see, there is nothing. 4.9. 4.5 is a really good area. Usually I'm just hearing massive amounts of conversations, and today nothing. Just static. No, there's just nothing on there today. So my last question, I believe, that was asked was, or comment, was about the speakers. Actually, these speakers are simply computer speakers. An old pair of computer speakers I had off an old Windows 98 that I hadn't thrown away yet. And this didn't have a speaker with it. So I just quickly cut the wires and connected these two together with a wire. And they work okay. They're not the right ohm. I think these are 4 ohm or 8 ohm. I don't know. This requires a different ohm, but these seem to work okay. The comment was that somebody had the same black box that I do. And I think the lighting just wasn't very good. What this black box is it's actually a milk crate. And I'm sorry for the confusion, but it's just an old milk crate that's sitting here, and the speakers are just sitting inside of it. And I don't even know why I was using it as kind of a shelf. So that's my speaker system, not the original speaker system. So that's the history of my 1948 Hammarlund 129X. Very fun radio. I really enjoy listening to it on these winter days when it's so cold in here. I like to turn this thing on, and puts out a lot of heat, and it's really interesting to play around with a couple times a week. Never use it during the summer because it just makes this room back here so hot. So I think we're done. And look forward to having some more comments. That's it.